Alright guys, welcome back to another video. This is a response tag to Dave, Lone Boys Post 1975. I'm more than certain you actually know who Dave is, but if by some slim chance you don't, link below, click on it, subscribe, and all the rest of it. Now Dave, as he often does, with these thought-provoking kind of tag stroke questions, stroke topics, he came up with an interesting one last night, and I was watching it late last night, and I left a comment that said, "Great one, Dave. I will do a video response for this tomorrow." And went to bed, woke up this morning, and I thought, I can't be bothered. I cannot be bothered. Not because it's Dave, but I am lazy. And I thought, I've got to set up I've got to, in front of the camera, and I can't be bothered. And now I'm doing it, I feel a lot better. And then once it's uploaded, I'll feel even better than that. Or than this. But yeah, it's just sometimes just the thought of sitting down and doing a video response. Oh, man alive. But I'm doing it. I'm glad I'm doing it. And the question, essentially, that Dave is asking is, why do you retro game? Or why do I? Why do any of us retro game? And for me, I'm going to obviously answer the question, but I also throw in there why I play current gen games as well, because it is all relevant. But it's a weird one with me, because, given my age, 21-ish, I have grown up in kind of all the eras of gaming, really, and I'm pleased and privileged about that. The 80s, the 90s, and obviously current gen games and all the rest of it. It's been great to watch it all, unfold as the years have gone by. But my favourite era is, without question, the 16-bit era. I love kind of, the elements of the 8-bit era, when I had the Amstrad and all the rest of it. But for me, the late 80s, very early 90s, that's my kind of era. When it comes to gaming, I absolutely love it. I love it, I love everything about it, to the point of, obviously, I picked up an Amiga last year. I've got the Atari ST back in the collection now, and it's great. You can see a few games behind me on the shelf there, as I kind of point to the Dreamcast, but next to the Dreamcast. Some Amiga, some ST games, and I'm really getting back into it. I've got back into the SNES. Not as much as I thought I would do, but I have got back into it, and I do like it. But, yeah, with me, you see, if you go back to, the PlayStation, well, not even just the PlayStation, if you go back to anything, I've always got the next best thing. As soon as a new console or computer has come onto the market to replace, the older technology, I've always jumped on board. So when the SNES came out, I bought that, and then when that kind of started to go a little bit, the PlayStation 1 came out, then I got that. When the PlayStation 1 was, about 2 or 3 years old, the N64 came out, so I bought the N64, and I kind of ditched the PS1, and then I ditched the N64 once the Dreamcast came out. I've always kind of moved on, and it's a weird one, because I guess when, I tried to get back into the Super Nintendo in around about 1999-2000, I originally had one in 92, but I couldn't get back into it when I did, the start of the millennium. And I think in hindsight, it's because the system wasn't old enough. It wasn't retro enough. I played it, and I just couldn't, I don't know. There was something about it. I guess because the last game for the SNES was probably produced in, 97, 98? And here's me trying to get back into it in, 2000. It wasn't long enough. Whereas now, I can get back into the SNES, and I enjoy it, because enough time has passed that it's become retro. And, it kind of reminds me of being a kid and all the rest of it. So that's kind of, if that made any sense, probably didn't. Now, one of the reasons why I'm into current gen gaming, and this is relevant, is because when I was a kid, and I'm going back to the age of, 10, 11, 12, whenever it may have been, that late 80s kind of era. Me and my friends, we would sit around, whether it's at school, whether it's at each other's houses, wherever it was, and we'd talk about our dreams for gaming, I should say. Talk about our dreams of gaming, and I remember, me and all my friends, we'd say things like, wouldn't it be great if, on a football game, for example, you could have the commentator, calling out the player's name and doing commentary like you're watching TV? Wouldn't that be amazing? And now, obviously, and it's been that way for years, but now you can do that. But now, it's, better than ever. Wouldn't it be great, we used to think, if you could, drive around, like a car or a jeep or whatever, or an aeroplane, and go from, town to town, city to city, on an aeroplane, and sit an aeroplane going across the street. That'd be a bit weird. But, like in a car, from town to town, and stop off, get out, and go into a building. Wouldn't that be amazing? And now you can do it. You look like the Grand Theft Auto games and all that kind of stuff. Free roaming games, which we dreamed about as kids. So that's why I'm into current gen gaming. You can see the PS3 games behind me. I'm getting a 360 back, because I do love the 360. Not for everyone, PS3 and 360, but for me it is. Yeah, so that's why I love current gen gaming. I know it's not the question, but it is relevant. I love it because it's almost fulfilling all the dreams, for me, that we had as kids in terms of video games. What we wanted, we can now do. Now you're probably saying, oh yeah, but the PS4 will be able to do even more, and the PS54 will be able to do even more than that. So you're going to get them consoles as well? Well, no, I don't think I will. I think, because we've got to the stage where I'm pretty satisfied now and content with, like I say, the fact that systems today can do what I wanted them to do. I'm kind of happy with that. So I think my cap is the PS3 and the 360, and I don't think I'll be buying other systems. But never say never, because you never know, do you? But as it stands, I think I'm pretty happy with the PS3 and the 360 and all the rest of it. But weirdly, what I found is going back to retro games with the Amiga, with the ST, with the Super Nintendo, and whatever else for that matter, I found that I actually have more fun with them. I get less stressed out. Now, that might just be me. I don't know, it might be very much an individualistic thing. And I'll give you an example. I mean, I feel a bit embarrassed saying this, but I will be honest. When I go on like Call of Duty, the modern day, current gen Call of Duties, I'll go online, and I'm not always, it might be once in a blue moon, but it still happens. I will get incredibly angry. I mean, incredibly. Not to the point of like snapping at people like in the house or like throwing things around and all that kind of stuff. But it makes me really tense. It makes me really angry. And, the language starts, shouting at the TV and all the rest of it. And it's just incredibly silly. It's embarrassing, really. And of course, as soon as I knock the game off, I feel stupid. And I'm like, oh, God, that was ridiculous. But it just works me up into such a stressful kind of human being when I play them games. And I found that when I play the Super Nintendo, the Amiga, the ST, even though games are a lot harder, in my opinion, than current gen games, which have kind of been dumbed down, even though a lot harder, they're not as stressful. It is annoying, if you do badly, but I've found that when I'm playing them, it's just a case of, oh, bloody hell. That's kind of my reaction, whereas if it's a current gen game, I'm ranting and raving, and it really does genuinely annoy me, if I allow it. And so I've really liked that. I've liked going back to a game and enjoying it. The fun factor. And for me, that's what retro games are. It's fun. But it's not just about the fun. It's about the memories. And when I see these, like I say, the old Amiga and ST games on the shelf, when I, hold them in my hand or even just look at them, knowing that I've got them, it means so much to me, which is a very personal thing. Other people might not care. You might like emulation, all the rest of it, and all the rest of it. But for me, I've got to have that physical thing. So to own games that I had 20 odd years ago, or own games now that I wanted 20 odd years ago, have them in the collection, have them behind me, opening the box, holding the disc. And I know it sounds weird, but it means more sometimes doing that than actually playing the game. Some of these games behind me I never play. I don't really have any desire to play them anytime soon, but just the fact that I've got them and they're there in my collection, the physical copy, is enough. It gives me like a tie and more of a connection to my nostalgia, which is of course what I love. I love that late 80s, early 90s thing. So I don't know if that kind of made any sense. Trying to explain why I love retro games. It's for the fun factor. It's because of the nostalgia. I love that time period. It reminds me when I was a kid, and that kind of naivety, I guess. But like I say, I also love the fact that playing them again, some of them are really fresh, some of the games. From a technological point of view, clearly, if you're going to compare them to current gen, then they're poor, in terms of technology. But you should never use that as a yardstick, because technology is always improving, and you can't criticise something for looking bad, because when that came out, that was amazing. So it's always a little bit unfair to judge graphics, I think. Unless a game comes out today for the PS3, which looks like it should have come out 20 years ago, then you can, give it some slack, obviously. But, so I've never really been, even though I do like good graphics, I've never really been like a graphics whore. I think I've referred to myself before as a graphics whore, but I think that was, I just said that without really thinking. I'm not really about that. It's about gameplay for me, really. It's, being absorbed and all the rest of it. So yeah, so that's that, and I'm into current gen games because, like I say, it's basically, these days, we're living out all the dreams when it comes to video games that I used to have as a kid, just being able to do pretty much whatever you want within reason. And yeah, we dreamed of that as kids, and now you can do it, and it's just great to see. But as I say, I don't think I'm going to be touching future generations of consoles and systems. I may not, never say never, but I just think I'm at the right balance now. I've got the Amiga, the Atari ST, the Super Nintendo. Those systems mean a lot to me. And the PS2, the Xbox, pretty much everything else, give or take the odd thing in between, I'm not really bothered about. I know there's a Dreamcast behind me, great system. I don't really play it that lot, but I'm kind of pleased I've got it, even though I don't play it a lot. But yeah, so I'm glad I've got that. I've got the earlier stuff, and then I've got the current gen stuff, the 360, the PS3, and I'm happy with that. It's kind of where where I feel comfortable. I've got the best of both worlds. So yeah, very long-winded answer, but I hope it's made some kind of semblance of sense, I guess. So if you want to do a response to this, share your memories, or just share your feelings, I guess, of why you are a retro gamer, why you like retro games, and what it is about them that kind of, I don't know, pulls you in, as opposed to ignoring them for being old, then feel free to do a response to Dave's video. Like I say, link below, and check it out, subscribe. I'm sure you're all aware of Dave, but if not, please subscribe. Thank you for watching. Adios amigos.